Hi everybody, it's Laurie from the art studio at Madison Children's Museum. I sure miss you all so much and I wish we were together making art right now. Until then, I have some fun art projects that you could do at home with your family. Some of you might be feeling sad or afraid or worried right now. I know I am. And when I feel that way, making a piece of art or doing something creative makes me feel so much better. So let's get started. Today's project is Crayon Watercolor Resist. And to do this project, you're going to need some watercolor paper. If you don't have watercolor paper, you could try using another type of paper like a file folder or a thicker piece of paper like cardboard or construction paper. You're also going to need crayons. You're going to need a white crayon or a light colored crayon. It could be a lime green or yellow. The lighter colors are going to contrast our watercolor paint a lot better. The other materials you'll need are some kind of a watercolor set. You could also use food coloring or tempera paint, or you could experiment with other kinds of paint that you might have. So the first step, we're going to take our piece of watercolor paper and we're going to use our crayon to make some marks. And you could either make a picture or abstract lines and sketches, or you could even write a secret message to a friend. So I'm going to draw a picture in the center of my paper and I'm going to surround it with some lines, some abstract lines and patterns. And when you draw, you're going to want to press pretty hard on your paper. I'm going back and forth a few times so that I get a nice heavy line on my paper that'll contrast my watercolor really well. And remember that you can always turn your page as you work so that you can get a different perspective on your art, maybe get some different ideas. So here's my white lines in the middle. See how you can hardly see the white lines on the white paper? So now that I'm done with my white lines, I'm going to make some lines with another color. I'm going to use a yellow, and you can see how that shows up a lot brighter and clearer. And I'm going to turn my page as I make a nice frame around my picture in the middle. Can you tell what I drew? I bet you can't. It's almost invisible on the white paper. Then I'm going to use my green crayon and I'm going to make some zigzaggy lines for a pattern on one side. Let me turn that around and I'll do a zigzaggy pattern on this side. And then maybe I'll do some lines. And I'll turn it around and I'll do some lines on this side. Let's see, I don't think I'm done yet. I think I want a few more lines or patterns on my paper. Okay, I think I'm ready. Now our next step is to get out our watercolor set or your tempera paint or your other type of paint. If you use a type of paint other than watercolor, you're going to want to thin it down to make it a little bit more watery. So when you use a watercolor set with the dried colors like this, remember friends that to make a darker color, you're going to want to wet your brush and you're going to scrub it on the paint back and forth, around and around until you pick up a lot of paint on your brush. Now let's see what happens when I paint over my paper. Can you start to see those lines resisting? Let's pick another color. Remember to rinse your brush in between colors so that they'll stay clearer. I'm going to try some green now. Scrubbing my brush into that watercolor so that I can get a nice bright color. Wow, look at it contrast those yellow lines. And I'm going to go all over my page. I want to cover the whole page with color. Pick up a little more blue over here. right, and then for the middle, I'm gonna rinse my brush. I'm gonna pick up some nice bright yellow. Go over the middle, really, just like that. You start to see a picture showing up. Now I want to paint some color around my frame, so I'm going to pick orange. Scrubbing it back and forth, need a little more water. Now as you dry your paper, your lines are going to show up more brightly. So it might take a few minutes of drying to have those lines completely show up. Oh, and I can see some of the hairs on my brush came off on my paper, but don't worry, you can always, if that happens to you, you can brush those off later when your paper dries. Let's see, maybe my middle needs a little bit more. I'm gonna paint some around the middle. Can you see what I drew with my white crayon? And here's my finished painting. I hope you might like to try this at home. See you next time.